Go ahead.
Oh, you know what? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Keeping It Real Estate. I think we're on episode 12.
I like it. Episode 12. I wonder what lucky episode 13 will be.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. All right. Well, folks.
We'll know before next week gets here.
Yeah. Today, what are we talking about, Dana?
Today, we're talking about backyard ideas. Just different things in the backyard that people are attracted to. Yes. New COVID world that we live in.
So I would tell you, and again, Dana, you can disagree with me if you'd prefer, but I think that backyards are a bigger deal than they've ever been. And we've certainly seen a lot of people want to move out to the burbs, get a little more property, get a little more space. I think the idea people have had, and, be really interesting to see in the next few months, whether people's habits change and go back to, the way we were. But I have a feeling that this is going to be, a lot of this stuff is going to be a permanent change, that we're going to see a lot of these things stick with us. And that entails having a nice backyard. So I'm gonna put you on the spot, because as anybody who's watched this before knows, we don't talk about anything beforehand. So what would you say, Dana, is the best return on investment in a backyard?
A pool. No, I'm joking. It's probably the worst. I would say probably the deck.
Okay.
Maybe a fence.
I'm thinking screen porch too.
Screen porches are good as well. They're a lot more expensive than a deck.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, yeah, screen porches and decks probably. I think fences you get, for what you spend putting them up. Yeah, I get probably screen porches and deck. Yeah.
So let's talk about what do we typically, like for us, like the hot spots for us in the backyard. Number one, I think having a big flat yard, having some place for the kids, and it's funny because I think everybody has this notion that their kids are going to play in the backyard, and they never do. They always play in the street and in the courtyard, but that's the notion. And it is nice when you have family over and, have the turkey day football game or whatever in your backyard. But I think nice flat yard, obviously being fenced, because most of us are pet owners these days. So having a place for your dog to run around. And then, you got to have some outdoor space, whether it's a patio, a deck, or a screen porch of some sort.
Yeah.
And then, but just keep in mind, there's very few things, and, this is a little contrary to probably what you read and what you see on HGTV, but there's very few things you can do that actually make a profit for doing. And in this market, you can get away with a lot of things value-wise that you can't, in a buyer's market. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, and I guess
the other thing too, Jim, is like as far as like return on investment and all that goes. That's one of those things. Like building a deck today is going to be cheaper than building it 5 years from now.
Right.
Just because the materials have gone so expensive. Wood has gotten crazy expensive.
So our close friends just put a deck on, and the price was less than 10% difference between wood and composite because the cost of wood has gotten so expensive.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's as far as like return on investment goes, that's one of those, that's one of those things. But don't, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy. I wouldn't build any of that kind of stuff to sell your house.
Not to sell it, no. But
no.
The other thing, like, if you have like I remember my parents' house, this is not the outside stuff, but they had a kitchen that was original. The house was 30 years old and it was functional. It wasn't even functionally okay and needed to be replaced. And so they redid this kitchen, and they did it, I think they ended up doing it about 2 years, but it still broke my heart, because they've been talking about it for 5-10 years and they could have gotten some enjoyment out of the new kitchen.
Yeah.
And instead it had to be done. And then they only ended up doing it, for the new owner, basically. So.
Right. And they probably didn't get back every dime they put into it.
No, not at all. But, that's one of those things. Like we talk about all the time, I think it's kind of a familiar refrain with us. There's lots of reasons you buy a house, and return on investment is not always one of them. So you got to have a place to live, and, there's a lot worse things you can do. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, Dana. Pools.
Yeah. They're, obviously this year was a big driver for pools. I mean, there's a waiting line to get a pool built. Prices have gone up on the pools. Prices have gone up on the materials. Some pools are expensive to put in. I mean, and our one of the things we say, like, if you want a pool, buy a house with a pool. Don't put
There you
one
go.
in.
That's the number one rule with pools.
Yeah, to buy it with a pool. If you got to have a pool, buy a house with a pool. Don't spend the money on putting it in. They're expensive. You know,
So
they're
a
real
nice
expensive.
pool, a nice pool, I think you can look at probably in this area, you're probably looking at 80 to $100,000.
Yep.
And I think if you're lucky, you get 20 or $30,000 back from an appraisal.
You
The
stole the words out of my mouth. This is going to ask you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And the tricky thing though is that that's very neighborhood dependent. Like my neighborhood we have smaller yards and we have a community pool. So, I think that having a pool in our yard, would not be quite as valuable. Whereas in Davidsonville or,
Mhm.
$2 or $3 million waterfront house in Annapolis, those things are sort of expected.
Right.
So, so that is one of those things where, you're going to get more, and especially like if you're talking about a $2 million house, it's a lot easier to recoup a $50,000 or $100,000 investment than it is, when, if you have a $500,000 house and the pool's $100,000, then 20% of the value of your property is tied up in your pool that you use 3 months of the year. So
Right.
that's a little tougher pill to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And the other thing about pool now, I know this year was a big push for pools, but I run into all the time with buyers that there's just as many people that don't want a pool as to the people who do want a pool.
Right.
So
They're definitely polarizing.
yeah. So they may not bring you as much value or as much, I mean, they'll still bring you the value for the people who want the pool, but again, it's almost one of those things in the eyes of the beholder, as far as what the value of that pool is.
They have some good landscape architects too. Don't underestimate having somebody go into your yard and just like planting the right foliage and
Mhm.
putting the right mix of things. And depending on how green your thumb is, and do you want, like, I know with us, we love color, so we have twice a year we have pansies, and Shannon's gonna get mad at me because I can't remember what the name of the other ones are. Pansies, I think.
Pansies are the winter
Um,
ones.
okay, and so what are the summer ones?
Um, not daffodils. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we got
Yeah,
those. But
those.
anyway, we have color, that, so basically we have flowers in the spring and flowers in the fall. And obviously that exceeds my bandwidth, but we've got a great landscaper who's, for years, and lots of budding trees in the backyard and things that, we don't have a pool, and I don't know that I'd want one, but I enjoy it's still like nature's nice, and it's nice to see the birds and the animals that get attracted to the different stuff. So that's something, again, that we've been through it. We got people for all that stuff, but and that it's still not cheap, but you can do that a heck of a lot cheaper than you could some of these other things. But I do think to put a bow on that situation, I think backdoor spaces. I've never had more people ask me about backyards than I have in the last year.
Yep.
And again, for my 2 cents worth, and you know,
I
it's worth
settled
2 cents.
7 families or seven, buyers, 7 people or whatever you want to call them, couples, whatever, that were all leaving. They were all leaving the big cities for suburbs,
Yeah.
which they wouldn't have done. I mean, hands down, all of them wouldn't have moved to the suburbs if it weren't for COVID. They were enjoying the city life, but when everything got locked down, they're like, why are we here spending this kind of crazy money on a 800 square foot apartment, as
But you
opposed
can't
to
leave.
getting
Yeah.
a house with a yard, enjoying the outdoor space and, you know, pet owners and all that kind of stuff. Amazing. We'll see. But I think you're right, Jim. It's going to be it. I think it's going to stick around for a little while as far as the suburbs are concerned.
All right. Well, so that's backdoors. And Florida, will give you a quick update. I settled on my condo Friday, so excited about that. And we got our listing in Punta Gorda under contract in a week. So grateful to the Liz and Allison in Florida for that. And that the market down there is really brisk. Really, it's the same as up here. The house that I got, there were 6 offers on it in 2 days. So pretty much what we got going on up here. Not a lot of change in the market up here, I don't think. What do you think, Dana? Still
No,
pretty much
not
status
really.
quo, crazy.
We're still selling more than what's coming on.
Yeah, and Dana and I are on some high-level calls on Monday, and you know, the scuttlebutt. We all think, we all kind of agree that. I heard today that Maryland, anyone who wants a vaccine will be able to have one by the end of April, and I think that will be probably as crazy a time as any. And I'm hoping, I'm cautiously optimistic that the listing inventory is going to turn then. That, you know, all this pent up, because people in this area are always transient. So there's a whole lot of people who haven't bothered to put their houses on the market in the last year. That I think it's all going to come to a head, and I think we're going to have a really, really busy, crazy summer. So
I agree. Because there's still a lot of buyers. We still have a ton of buyers who cannot find properties.
Yeah.
So,
and it's really, I think it's kind of like unemployment. I think there's a whole bunch of people who are probably, you know, buyers, but they got frustrated, you know, with missing out on deals and, you know, getting here, know all this and all the competition. So they're like, you know what, I'll just wait. And I think they'll come back in too. So hopefully we'll see.
Yeah.
But interest rates are good. You know, there's still some inflation worries. So, you know, got a little bit different times here, but you know, there's a saying in real estate, and it's funny because you kind of said it about the deck thing, but it's true really in all of real estate. The best time to buy a house is almost always 5 years ago. Yeah. So, you know, I know it, you know, you kind of wonder like, you know, is this the right time? But, you know, I bought at the absolute worst time in the century, and it's still, you know, I don't have any regrets about that decision. So it's been, you know, our home for 15 years, and, you know, got lots of memories there, and, you know, and now we're okay. You know, we're back. You know, it's not a bad decision anymore. It just took a long time, but for most people, that's not the case. You know, it's you know, I know people that bought, you know, even in the last couple of years. You know, I'm frankly, I'm surprised myself when I look to see, you know, how much appreciation's out there right now. So,
yeah.
you want to take advantage of that. You want to move up, get one of these yards with a pool. But I would tell you, I think Dana would agree. You know, the number one thing, if money is a concern, which, you know, if it isn't, great. But if it is, you're way better off searching for a house with a pool than putting one in.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So, all right. Well, hope everybody has a great week. Weather's finally turning. Feels like spring in Maryland for a couple of days anyway.
Yeah.
So you have a great day, and we'll see you next Tuesday, everybody. Bye.
See you next Tuesday.